Hello, welcome to Waiting for Game. I'm your host, Game08, and a special little episode here. As you can tell, we're missing a little guy. We're missing a one little Marth player here, but what we make up for that, we make up for with a great guest. We have, former Marth player.
It's true.
Former Fox player.
2 mains ago. 1 main ago.
And current Captain Falcon player.
It's true. Yes.
Now, you might not know who I'm describing from this, but once you heard his sonorous voice, you probably understood that this is Webs. How's it going, Webs?
It's going good. It's going great.
Now, so the audio viewers might not understand this, but we are in a room together. Is that true?
Yes.
Can you verify the statement?
Yeah. And the viewers at home can as well. We are on the same webcam.
This is
We're
not
in my office here
trickery.
in Toronto. Yeah.
Yes, we're live from Toronto.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe someone will rain bolt our location, figure out exactly where we are. But until then, we're just gonna rock it out. We had a fun little time in Toronto already, and a lot of people are gonna have a fun little time this weekend.
Yes. GOML 2023, the return of the Canadian major.
Mm-hmm.
Battle of BC has cemented itself as West Coast Canada's big major, but I think GOML is still the overall largest one. Yeah, Toronto being the largest city in Canada, and therefore also hosting the largest major.
Not only the largest that Canada has to offer. This is the GOML 2023 for Melee is the largest Melee tournament outside the US. It beat Air 5. Air 5 had 752.
752?
Which is crazy.
And do you know what the number is off the top of your head for GOML total?
I think it's 753. No, I think they're just over, like 760, somewhere around there.
Close.
But yeah, no, this is
Air 5? That was like
2018, I don't know.
2017, I was going to say. 2018. So yeah, that's a 5 years at least that record's been.
Yeah, no, the title itself has been a long time, and we've seen tournaments come and go. But if we're talking international tournaments, obviously we're going to talk about GOML. We have to talk about Fate. Fate was this past weekend, and if you're talking international tournaments, you're talking Air. Fate is what's on everyone's mind. This is this was their trying to be the biggest tournament. This was their shot at rivaling something like Air. They're in a Pontins now. Pontins and Canberra Sands. Does that mean anything to you?
It's just British gobbledygook to me.
Jiggery pokery, I think they say. I'm like, I wish I was kidding. That I heard that on a cooking show. It's just a bunch of jiggery. I was like, no.
Oh man.
Yeah, no. Did you get a chance to catch any of Fate?
Yeah, I did watch some of it. I watched a bunch of top 8.
Mm-hmm.
I watched Hungry Box and Zane square off in a incredibly drunken Roy versus Ness.
Let's get into that. You want to get into that one?
Best of 9 or 10 that they ended up playing. They ended up playing a lot more than they originally intended.
I think it was a best of 5 that turned into a first of 5.
First of 5, yeah. Best of 9.
I believe Zane won 3-1 and then lost 5-4, which is, you hate to see it.
Yeah. It was great though. It was very entertaining.
It encapsulated what I believe it's like to be at that event. And I do say what I believe because I've, despite going to Europe to go to Fate last year, obviously I got COVID and didn't actually go to the tournament, so I don't get the vibe.
You traveled there, but you didn't get the experience. So
I was so willing to put all of my British hate behind me. I was on the flight, and the flight was great. I had like a whole row to myself and all this leg room. I was like, you know what? Maybe the bit ends here. Maybe I love England. Maybe I love the UK. And I get there, and I'm the only one with a mask in the local. And somehow, some way, I'm the one who gets it.
Yeah,
that's tough. I sucked it from everyone else because we were like, I saw Amsa and Nagaibo went, and I was just like, fuck. I gave it to the Japanese players. Like I gave it to the players who traveled 15 hours to get here. But no, I sucked it all up. I took all the bullets. Yeah. But hopefully there was no COVID at this one.
Yeah, right. Let's not
wait
ahead of ourselves with regards to COVID.
But it looked like a blast. Like Fate, it's in the lineage of Air as being kind of like the UK party tournament. But since then, they've had to also be one of the premier tournaments for Europe. Europe doesn't really have majors to that extent. Like DreamHack was last year, and it had some people, but was nowhere close to what this is. And I think it really has done a good job. I mean, you said you watched Zane and Hungry Box. If you told me you watched Zane and Hungry Box play a drunken money match, I would not immediately pick, it was probably in a Pontins and Canberra Sands.
Yeah.
The level of talent that they ended up getting out there was pretty big. So I don't know. You said you have to watch top 8. top 8 just felt like a normal North American top 8, right?
Yeah, because of all the players who ended up attending.
Yeah.
I think that, a lot of focus was put on the end of top 8. Everyone talked about J-Mook's controller breaking in grand finals.
Yeah.
But the quality of play was pretty high across the entirety of it. It was awesome. The reason that everybody talked about and focused on J-Mook's controller breaking was because Zane was making his losers run that people have prophesized and spoken about.
The fabled losers run that he is not ever able to actually continue.
Yeah.
But well, I guess let's talk a little about the J-Mook thing, because I know that this is going to be a moment that it's like going to stay in this tournament forever, right? Where we can talk about all the great things.
It's what people are going to bring up all the time about it.
We can talk about all the great things, but it's always going to come back to this, and it's a true shame that in this day and age, it's just going to, like, as you gain more and more things. I saw Leffen say it's like, you made a controller that can do everything, but now it's 300 points of failure.
There's definitely some things that are right about that. Like, I think the issue that ended up being diagnosed with it was that it was a 1.2 fob board, and that there's some soldering issue where it puts pressure on a point of solder, and it can cause connection issues with the motherboard.
Talking about jiggery pokery.
Yeah, right. So, Leffen's right in that regard, because like, if you think about that issue, it's like, that it takes a lot of iteration and just like, brute force testing to find that kind of like a flaw or an inconsistency in a design. So, the new fob boards, the 2.0s have corrected some things. Like, that's not an issue with those. And they've talked about some other, I'm not an expert in all of the various issues that fobs have had on the magnets popping out were one of the first things that people were trying to solve. So in regards to dropping controllers and, running into issues very easily.
Yeah.
I think that the fob project is still awesome, and I love what they've done with it. But, as is the Melee controller landscape, there's no real rules or regulations. It's like they just released the fob, and it's like, okay, now people just play with it in tournament. And like, of course you're going to, run into stuff like this.
It's the Wild West right now. We're all trying to figure it out. And you're right. I mean, the level of play that fobs has given us has been insanely high, but just because of all the things that are with it, and because it's a new product, we're going to run into stuff like this. And I think more than anything, like, the reason why, and you hit on it, the reason why this hits so much is because the tournament up to that point was so good. Yeah, right. It was. Like, J-Mook got there by beating HBox, and this was not HBox who had no water in his system, right? This was like J-Mook being able to beat his demon in a way that felt real, and maybe even able to be done again. And
HBox hit a lot of rests in that set.
Yeah,
and usually when HBox hits and upwards of like one rest per game, that's enough for him to close a set out on J-Mook. And J-Mook came from behind even in a lot of instances, where he would, I think game 3 or 4, maybe both of them, where it was an early deficit that he was able to claw his way back from.
Yeah,
it's a really impressive way to win the set against Hungrybox.
Yeah, so I mean, it's going to cut deep, because this tournament was shaping up to just be such an amazing one, and it's still overall, I'm not going to say that this was anything less than amazing, because it was such a good tournament to watch. I felt like it really represented its region.
Yeah, I think the marketing for that is one of the best parts of it. There's a few points to it. First of all, they announced that 3 by the Sea so long ago
at Fate 2,
and they announced that so a full year.
I was in the fucking hotel room, not able to leave while I saw it. I was like, looks fun.
And they've been, it's not like they just announced the tournament and then let it sit for months before they started. It was a constant, just like working on, outreach, getting players to go, kind of setting up just the whole experience for people, and it paid off. Yeah, for sure. I mean, we got to see a lot of I have to talk about it, right? I'm like legally obligated to talk about Mo versus Aklo. Yeah, I was kind of sitting on it. I figured you'd bring it up at some point.
Getting to see top NA talent versus top European talent is always a treat. And usually it's the opposite way, right? Usually it is a player who has paid like $1,000 to go to whatever tournament and is seeded not too well. Hey, shout outs to Mo's seed at GOML. Yeah. But and then they play someone super early on, and they're maybe still jet lagged. It's just not really a recipe for success. But to see it the opposite way was super fun. Mo comes off of beating Frenzy like pretty solidly, and then has Aklo, and it just looks so down to the wire. Like it I don't know. There's you see a stock. Every stock was taken. It felt like it was like, that's a set. That's the swing. The momentum is completely different. Just amazing set. Did you have any that you saw, like whether or not it included any European players, or if it's just between more like North American players? Was there anything that kind of stood out to you?
I didn't really have much from like any of the earlier rounds because I didn't watch a ton of the tournament itself until the finals day. And when I went back to rewatch pools from round 1 on BTS Smash, the VOD was
there's some issues with VODs, I believe.
Yeah, so I was a little frustrated with that because I know that I'm sure some of the sets are on YouTube, but I never got around to watching anything from those first few days.
Yeah, I mean it was a good tournament. Yeah, well here's a funny one. Foxy Grandpa's here, right? Foxy Grandpa
never travels.
I think he went to Collision. That was the first thing he has to do in a long time.
That's New York to New Jersey.
Yeah, New York to New Jersey.
It's not very far.
But he's Aklo's brother, for those who don't know. He was actually like the original kind of hidden boss in this family. I remember learning about Aklo as the younger brother. I'm like, yeah, he might be good, but will he be as good as Foxy Grandpa? And we learned the answer to that. But he's here because he's traveling with Aklo to all these events. He's kind of like a coach in a lot of ways. I've been to events where they're both at, and Aklo's like constantly looking over, trying to like get some sort of support and look at Aklo's results. It seems to have worked. Foxy Grandpa is a player who is amazing himself. So seeing him versus all these European hidden bosses and into Aklo was so wild. I was like, I never in my life could you told me that, what was it, Kinzo versus Foxy Grandpa would happen.
Yeah, no kidding. Talk about two names from completely different regions.
Yeah.
Who would never, ever you'd expect to see crossover.
That's the beauty of these events like this, right? When you create an event in a location like, the UK, you're able to have players from regions that we don't get to see in North America. And then you create an environment that people want to go to. I mean, how many tweets did you see that says, fuck, I want to go to Fate 4?
I know, yeah. I want to go to Fate 4. It looks like a lot of fun. I was just thinking that too. There is one set, or not set in particular, but a team actually that I was thinking of that I didn't know about until the event would be Fek and I4.
The sisters.
The French sisters.
Yeah.
Dude, it's like I love a good Peach Sheik team combo.
Classic.
Fun team to play against.
Classic.
But a very fun team to watch. And a team that's always very successful in doubles. Good baseline. They have very strong edge guards, good defensive play. Yeah. And the way that they worked together, especially, I thought was very impressive. I think they ended up getting 3rd at the event.
I believe so. Am I willing to call them the next Team UGS? Maybe.
Siblings who play the same character combination.
Peach and Sheik. I'm not. Who knows? No, but they clearly have a lot of time in doubles.
Bust the Fox out.
Please, just to beat HBox.
Yeah.
And I got to watch I4 in singles. They streamed one of her matches. She was playing against a Peach and like clearly knew the matchup. You can just point to that. Yeah, it's always cool to watch a tournament that is this big and has a lot of eyes on it and get to put people in the spotlight. Because I'm sure you could talk to a lot of Europeans and they probably know about these players. But now this is, we can talk about I4 and Fek on this show and people won't go, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah, whoa.
Like suddenly this is something that is in somewhat the public consciousness, I don't know, at least for the Melee nerds. And that's always so sick. Like I love when tournaments are able to spotlight their region or players who are not able to go to stuff and like still put out a product that doesn't feel niche, right? And at no point during Fate did it feel like it was niche Melee, even though most of the names probably weren't known to the bigger audience. So I think they did an amazing job with that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to what they put out next year. Did they announce Fate 4 at Fate 3 like they did at 2?
We don't have an announcement for Fate 4. I'm looking to see what happens for that. I don't know anything, so if I were to speak out of my ass on their behalf, I will say the jump from Fate 2 to Fate 3 in terms of venue was pretty big. The jump in attendance was not that huge. They went from 300 something to 400 something. So I don't know if that was imbuing them with confidence to like book another venue right away. But I mean, with how well they did, and considering that's like not only UK's biggest event but also Europe's, I imagine we see something in the future. And whatever it is, I think that people are going to support it more. Like that's how these events get bigger, right? Look at Battle of BC. Oh, I thought it died. Look at Battle of BC, an event that like started pretty small, and just by word of mouth, everyone went like, everyone who went said, "Oh, it's great," and you watch and you go, "Fuck, I want to go to that," and then more people go, and suddenly it's one of the biggest majors we have.
Yeah, it started out, they were bringing out just a few individual players too. I remember they brought like S2J and Lovage to one of the earlier Battle of BCs, and I think that when you bring out players who are very recognizable, and those players have a good time, they'll speak highly of your tournament. They'll come back to your tournament. Players communicate with each other about what events that they're going to go to. They coordinate that kind of stuff. So starting just from a little bit and then, working year over year to build yourself up is a great way to go about it, especially when you're feeling like a gap. I mentioned earlier how Battle of BC is like the East Coast Canadian major.
The West Coast one. This is the East Coast.
The West Coast. This is the East Coast one. GOML. And like there's a need there. Yeah. The scenes exist there, and it's for the West Coast, it's not that bad of a travel either. You're just taking a flight up north across the border. The end's not too far from California or a lot of the other states over on the West Coast. So, and there's a lot of talent there too.
Yeah, we've seen it with Battle BC. We've seen it with Tipped Off. Tipped Off this year was a tournament.
The revival.
It was a tournament that's been around forever. And this one had a lot of good word of mouth just from the players. Like the players had a lot of...
they Tipped Off got amazing reviews from the players.
I mean, despite having like 350 people, like everyone who went had a great time. And that helps. Whatever they do next year is probably going to be a lot bigger. Yeah. It just snowballs until you get to events like the one that we're at, GOML 2023.
Grown a lot.
Not physically. This is not the venue, I guess, for any people who are watching.
Not far from it, though.
Yeah.
We're close.
Yeah, you'll find out when you rainbolt our exact location.
Yeah, exactly.
You in the audience. GOML has built up year over year, and like it's been huge before, right? 2016 was the year Leffen won. That was one of the best runs to first place ever.
Yeah, was that year so big because that was the only like tournament that Leffen could go to?
It was helpful.
It was like that did give it a little bit of a boost.
GOML also did. I have nothing. I don't know what year it would be. I don't have any guess. Before Leo could come to America, he played. He went to GOML and did pretty damn well.
Yeah.
So definitely something that has meant a lot. But now, in addition to not only being the largest non-American tournament, it means so much because we are going to this tournament and everything is on the line. We have Cody, who's got 2 majors. We got Zane, who's got 2 majors. We got J-Mook, who's got 2 majors.
That's crazy.
We've got Leffen, who's got 1 for some reason.
Somehow pulled that one out of his ass.
This is make or break for so many people.
Yeah.
Right.
The Midyear rankings is what we're referring to.
The Midyear rankings, yes. This is the last tournament that is part of the eligibility period for the what is it called? I run it. The SSBM Rank Summer 2023. I've talked to a few people, and it's all split decisions. There's no lead right now in terms of who I talked to.
There are buckets. People, I feel like it's pretty easy to kind of bucket off a lot of the top 10, top 12, maybe. Yeah, that's where it starts to get a little fuzzy.
That's
around 11 or 12. I guess we can just kind of jump in on that note to the top seeds who are here.
Yeah.
Not starting at the very top. Let's go back down towards more the 10 to 12 range. I'm excited that Lod is here because a lot of players had amazing results. Very busy in personal life, so difficult to get that consistency. And I mean, because feasibly, if Lod was attending more things, we could easily see him a shoe in for like a top 8 position. If he continued to perform.
Said he's fucking saving lives.
Yeah,
Where the fuck does he get off?
This guy. But it's good to see that he's able to get another tournament in. I don't think that he's like intentionally like, I need to get before the mid-year rankings. I really need to get one more tournament.
I know. Who doesn't love to see a number next to their name? And if that number is smaller, if it's closer to 1, the better. But
the better.
It's not going to be easy to get his rank. Like this is not a free tournament for him at all because
free tournament for nobody. It's so stacked.
Nobody. Kudorin is here. We've got Aklo here. We've got players who are in that range, and then you go above that. Leffen's not here just because he has the curse of being good at everything.
He's the multi-game man.
He is the multi-game man. He is going to be playing Street Fighter 6 and Guilty Gear Strive and Melee probably for the entirety of this year.
Where was he playing Strive and Street Fighter 6 this last weekend?
He was at Brussels. He was at Brussels Challenge or
That's
something.
Right, yeah. He ridiculous.
He got second.
He's been on 3 continents in under a month.
It's crazy. He's got the curse of being good at stuff. Once again, he found himself in winners finals of a very big Strive tournament.
Oh, he's so good at
this.
Strive.
Seems to happen a lot.
Yeah, he just seems to kind of cruise and Strive a little bit. Street Fighter 6, I feel like he's annoyed that he's not performing as well as like he expects for himself.
Yeah,
but also his expectations for himself are just unreal.
Yeah, I mean, he's always disappointed with how he performs in Melee until he wins.
Yeah, exactly. And then even when he wins, like at Summit, he's like, I could do better.
What did you say? You said what?
Oh my god! I've been referring to LACS as Summit all day. That's like the 4th or 5th time I've said that.
You've been talking about a lot today. A lot of bragging about how you were there and I wasn't.
Yeah, I really like to rub it in. We were all making fun of you.
I'm sure. I gotta say, there's a few majors that I watch. I'm not able to go to this year because of like family obligations, and I've watched it on my phone or whatever. This is the second time they've mentioned me on stream as like, why isn't he?
Why isn't Weed here?
Because like normally, if you don't go to a major, you already get the FOMO.
Yeah.
Not saying you have to feel bad for me, but the added FOMO of listening to commentary and your friends going, Wheat should be here. Why isn't he here? It's like, fuck, man.
Yeah, that does add to it.
But talk about, why aren't people here left? Of course, that's the reason why he's here. He's got a lot on his plate, and he's got Evo coming up in August. Like, he is going to be someone who is going to be juggling these games for a while. Ploppa's in here, but other than that, we've got basically everyone. We've got so many threats to win. We've got Mango who could just fucking win. AMSA, HBox have both proven that they are able to do it. And then we got the kind of the big dogs, right? I think it's that top 3 right there. Yeah. That this is going to mean whoever wins, in my mind, probably is almost a shoo-in for number 1. J-Mook, Cody, Zane.
If one of them wins.
And if one of them doesn't, then it is chaos.
Imagine if Leffen came and won, and he just snuck a second major, and we had 4
I'll
people
give him number
majors.
1. Fuck it.
Yeah, honestly.
I need the slightest push to give him number 1. I'll just do it. I'm crazy like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, an event like this is definitely not only something that is stacked at the top, but when we talk about like big majors, the thing that sets apart a super major from like just a major for me is the depth of talent. And I think this is the closest thing we've had to it approaching a non-American super major, maybe ever, right? You'd have to like really go back.
Almost on like the Genesis Big House kind of level as far as like the region, all these different regions, hitters.
Yeah.
Who are not like top 100 shoo-ins, but who are just incredible players in their own right.
Yeah.
Who, if they dedicated the time, could become top 100 shoo-ins,
Well, that's the thing, right? You look at Battle BC, you look at Tipped Off. We talked about these tournaments. They had incredible top level representation, but they weren't super majors. And a super major is like every single person is there, right? Like it's weird if you're not there. And GOML's maybe not at that point of Genesis or Big House just because of the legacies that both of them had.
Yeah.
But we're getting close. Like there's so many players here who can make deep runs. There's international players, of course. There's players from all over Canada. There's just like all these hidden talents. I know we got a chance to look through the bracket earlier. Was there anyone who kind of stood out to you as a player who could maybe like make some upsets, maybe go past their seeds?
Well, one thing that we talked about specifically was how a bunch of the Michigan kind of top level is coming.
Yeah. They
don't really travel. It's funny because in like the 2014 to 2018 years, even, up to 2019, 2020, beginning of 2020.
The 2018 years, as we call them.
I mean, that's kind of where I cut it off a lot of times. It's 2018, 2019, because things changed so much around that time. But Michigan had a ton of representation. There was the big 3 for a long time, which was just Duck, Princebu, and Kalindi. And then, past that, Ginger Rose, Morse Code was going to a
Kazu had time there.
Kazu, of course. And now the top level of Michigan is like still Kalindi.
Yeah.
Ginger. And then there's like
1 million hidden bosses.
Yeah, there's like Morse code. There's Sequel Communidator.
I think it's Kyle Mictinator. I don't know. I think there's more of a Kyle in it than you would think.
Yeah. I actually did learn how to pronounce it once, and I've just forgotten. There's too many consonants.
Maybe known more as Quang. Kyle, better known as Quang.
Yeah, we'll go with Quang. Kyle Mictinator. And Ossify is going to be there. Yeah. Who Ossify is someone who I've only ever seen at Michigan regionals, Michigan locals, and net play tournaments.
Yes. No, you're so right. Michigan is a really funny one because I think if their main core traveled more, there's no reason that we wouldn't see Morse code back in the top 100.
Totally.
No reason I would say Kiyoshi or Ossify couldn't make top 100. Same with Quang. Quang already has 2 top 100 wins from Genesis alone. And yeah, it's so good to be able to see these people traveling. Even like Negative. He's I believe he's going to GOML. Like they have a pretty good roster that's going, and yet I have trouble like saying, "Oh, that's like the big story of GOML," right? Just because there's so much going on. It's so hard to. But I guess all those people there. If you had any one in particular, seated in different regions, obviously. What? But I guess all those people there. If you had any one,
we miss Samus representation a lot at the top level these days. We have like
they're seated in different
Buck and Silver and Wevens, who are 2 of the more active Samus representation that I've seen at recent tournaments. The Swooper kind of has stepped back a little bit. He still goes to things.
Swooper's here.
He's coming. But for a while, he was like kind of like the Samus guy. Like he was grinding a lot, and he's more to a more I would say appropriate level of attendance. Anytime I see somebody go extremely hard and attend like every major in a year and go to a ton of regionals, I'm always like thinking, are they balancing their life properly? Because Melee is not a great long-term career decision. So
we don't bring that up. We make sure not to mention that Melee is not a good career decision.
But I just Morse is always I don't want to say a treat to watch, but he is always someone who has the potential to upset and make deep runs at tournaments. So it'll be interesting to see how he does.
You mentioned the Swooper, and you mentioned like a whole crew of Michigan people. I'm also going to mention a crew. I'm going to say PBI.
You've been talking about them too.
I will not reveal what PBI stands for, but I'm sure you can see this out by going to Jada's Twitter if it's unlocked. I don't know. But yeah, this is kind of a crew of friends, and if you follow people on Twitter, you probably know that Polish, right? Like that whole group of friends. They are very dedicated to Melee. They're all very good at Melee, and I believe they're mostly showing up. You've got both of those 2 players, top 10 player or top 100 players. You've got Beckfin who's going, and that is kind of if you're talking about like more players to watch out for. I think Beckfin is a great one. Icy's player who went from kind of not on my radar like at all. I think he was a former Marth player under the tag Bean, and then just suddenly was getting a ton of wins in an era of net play that people didn't have eyes on. Right? If he did this in 2020. Different story, but he did it in 2022. 2023. But like beating Bobby all the time, beating all these people who still play net plays, all these great results, and then went offline. And I believe he was like 4th, maybe even 3rd on the most recent New England PR.
I didn't realize he was that high.
He's up there. Wow. Sets on Bonfire, sets on Calvar. Like he is a player who, if you're talking about out-of-state people, J-Flex has a set on J-Flex at Trail Underground. Wow. And Game 5 with Bobby, I believe, after that. But yeah, like, I don't see a reason why Beckfin is to be counted out. And their bracket is an interesting one. Another person we don't know much about. Dwan Shrew? I don't know
that's right. Dwan Shroomed McDaniels? Is there an asset?
I think it's just singular.
McDaniel? I think it's McDaniel. I think you're right. I think you're right. It is McDaniel. We'll go with that. He's here. It's so funny because he will just randomly travel. You know, we don't hear from him forever. He's a professional man at these days, and then he's just at a tournament.
25th or whatever.
He does have a lot of friends in Toronto, and I think that Toronto is often treated, or GOML is treated by some players as one of the more party-centric tournaments, because they have the party boat that they've been doing for a few years at this point. And the tournament's located in downtown Toronto. You know, there's like a nightlife scene in the area. So, but he also, when he comes to things, he still enters, and rarely does he flame out. Like, he usually does pretty well still.
Drunk Shroom tends to do pretty well. There was that main stage where he went Marth versus Ringler, and I mean, I think if you go Marth versus Ringler,
you're asking for it.
But like, other than that, he's done incredibly well. And yeah, I mean, like, this is before we even get to Shroom Beckfin, it's Beckfin versus Zanya. Do you know anything about Zanya? So Zanya is an upstate New York player, Chic player. They've had a pretty decent year. They've just have never really traveled. They're kind of like known as a tech chase monster. And they went to the Come Up, which was in Toronto earlier this year, and beat None.
Oh, that's why the name sounds familiar to me.
Zanya also got a Logan win at Tipped Off. Like, definitely a player who is one to watch out for. So Beckfin versus Zanya to make it to Shroom is just like this little triumvirate of players who, like, I cannot wait to see what all of them do, because I have no idea what anyone.
Yeah, that is a very interesting little quarter. I mean, not a bad draw for Beckfin matchup wise. Icy Cheek, of course.
Yeah,
but Dewan can always just go Marth.
Marth was created for Ices and was very good versus Ices.
And Icy Cheek is not like a guaranteed win either. It's a tough matchup.
Pokemon Stadium.
Transforming Pokemon Stadium, especially.
Yeah, probably not going to see that.
Yeah, yeah. First and last time that we've seen that this year, I bet. Unless I saw that they announced that charity tournament that they did last year. I think Optic ran it, or some. Was it Optic?
Yeah, Optic.
Hitch, I think, was the guy. Optic Hitch.
The off season.
I could not remember the name of it.
The off season too.
That's a tournament I could see them running Unfrozen Stadium at.
Yeah.
They probably watched LECS5 and they were like, that's our hook this year. Last time they did the Falcon thing with Mute City. So
yeah, if we could trick them into believing, no, this is like super silly. It's crazy. That'd be enough.
Yeah.
Let's do something.
Just keep it at that.
At $25,000 tournament. It needs to be somewhat official. But yeah, I mentioned Crike earlier, and the reason I said, speaking of the swooper, Crike, I didn't follow up on that. Crike's got the swooper in his path, and the winner of that plays Moki, which is a very interesting one. Moki has, in the past, dropped sets to people way below his rank, and really one of the stories for me this year in why he's leveled up, it's not the sets over HBox, it's not the sets over AMSU. Those that we knew he was going to do those. We knew that he was doing those. It's about his consistency.
Yeah.
There's very, very few players who he's lost to who I would rank below him, which is for a player like Moki who, you know, came up as like a kind of a shaky player versus, I don't know, Marth or Peach or whatever. Like, he had his problem matchups. To see him shore up those holes is amazing. So
yeah,
we're going to get possibly get a rematch of Crike versus Moki if that happens. And show that to me at the beginning of the year. Show that to me last year, and I say Crike could do it at this point. That is tough.
It's a tall order. Moki's looked pretty good, even though he has not overcome Zane yet. He still looked very good in their sets, especially in moments. I think, you know, Zane is such a momentum player where it's not just like momentum on his side. I feel like he'll get going and he'll just start like swagging on you when he gets 2 stocks up, and you know, you start to feel yourself slipping a little bit. Yeah, exactly. But I think part of that is not just that he like turns on the jets, but also the fact that he starts playing that little bit differently. I think it really throws people off. And at LACS, he got to that point against Moki where he kept going up games, and then Moki would kind of like shake it off and claw his way back. He had a story game in particular that sticks out in my mind where Moki went down 2 stocks and brought the game back. I think he may have lost last stock still, but it was like just the fortitude that he showed in that game is that kind of consistency that you need, you know, the ability to pull through even when things aren't going your way.
Moki's going to be interesting as we get to the end of summer rank.
Yeah, he falls almost in that like second bucket of players outside of the top 3 at this point.
I think it's going to surprise people who maybe know a lot about the scene but don't follow every result. He could very well get ranked 5th. Like, I mean, a lot that could happen here. Obviously, if someone like AMSA or HBox or someone or fucking Mango win, that could change. If he does really badly here, maybe that changes. But as it stands right now, I would not be surprised to see him ranked 5th, maybe 6th, which is a huge jump from him. Very few players have made the jump to top 5, and the ones that have, we all know as like players,
some of the legends of the game.
Some of the legends of the game, major threats, stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see if Moki's able to do that. That being said, of the players we have in that top 5, he's the only one who has not really shown the ability to win a huge major. He won the come up, which was over. I think he beat Aklo and AMSA to do it, which is that's a good group of players to beat. But the big one has always eluded him in ways that his contemporaries it really hasn't. Right, even like Leffen, a player who is maybe not as consistent. Leffen is able to win the big tournaments sometimes. He's got LACS, he's got EVO before that. Like even AMSA, I think, has not had a great year, but we saw him like destroy Zane before. Like he's got the keys to make it to grand finals or winners finals. So the question I have for you is: we are in Toronto. We are in Moki's home city. This is GOML. He has not won a major. Give it to me straight. Do you think Moki has a chance of winning GOML?
Yeah, I do think he has a chance at winning GOML. And this is without me looking at projections at all for top 32, round 2 pools, top 8. I mentioned his set against Zane at LACS 5 and how he has yet to overcome Zane. I think that is really, we're in a new era of parity in Melee where there's a lot of players who can beat other players who can beat other players. And we kind of have this sort of like wheel of parity going on where you need to draw a good bracket. You need to play well that day too. But, when JMook avoids HBox, his chances of winning the tournament go way up.
Oddly enough, when he beats HBox,
that's true. Yeah. After that, I think things may have changed a little bit in that respect. But last year, that HBox was the thing that really kept JMook from winning a ton of tournaments last year. And with AMSA, there's certain players that he has difficulty with that, if he avoids, he certainly does way better. And I don't think Moki has a ton of that. I think Moki can beat anyone. He hasn't done it yet, but he 100% has the ability to. I think that I would love to see him win GOML and take a set off Zane, at least one set off Zane doing so. Yeah. That would be an incredible achievement. It would be amazing for him to do it in, his hometown.
First major, the hometown.
Yeah. It'd be awesome. It'd be an incredible storyline. It's not outside the realm of possibility at all. I don't give it amazing odds, but I think I take Moki. I'm not going to put odds on it. I started to think about the odds. I would get
Edwin somewhere.
I know.
Just hearing odds.
Yeah,
he's
going to message me with a deal after this.
No, but you're absolutely right, and I think like the kind of how people would think about Moki's chances to win a major is lower than all the people around him, right?
What you said too really rings true. That to people who've not really been super paying attention to this first half of the year, that might sound like an unreasonable statement to some people. But Moki he's really reaching that level of consistency. I think a lot of it too is he's shored up his mentals over time. It's the most intangible, hard thing for players to overcome because it's different for everybody, is to be able to stay in that competitive mindset and, be present in the moment, play really well, not get too hung up on things outside your control. It's so difficult. And, but he has taken steps over the years to shore that up. And I think it's shown 100%.
Easily.
He has his routine now during tournaments where he puts his headphones in, he does a little bit of pacing, he'll nod to you or say what's up, but he doesn't really talk to too many people leading up to bracket. And then when he plays, he's ready to go. So.
Yeah. You look at his matchups just from if you actually dig into how he plays versus other players, you're right. JMook has a very hard matchup in HBox. One that he, if you're making a dream bracket for JMook to win, one that he avoids HBox. Amsa has that too. He'd probably want to avoid Cody.
Yeah,
that's just a really tough matchup that he has.
Mm-hmm.
Like HBox has a ton of them.
Yeah, the HBox list grows by the day.
HBox has so many people who he doesn't want to see in brackets. So many that you have to see one in brackets.
Yeah.
It's just the way bracketology works.
Yeah.
And when you talk about Moki, I don't think he's got very few matches that I think are for sure wins. I think he's very good against Amsa. He's shown that he can beat Cody. He beat Plup. He's out on a hot streak versus HBox. But yeah, if you really talk about the impossible ones, maybe you could count JMook. JMook on an off day maybe loses to Moki. That's kind of how the matchup can go.
Mm-hmm.
But really the tough one is Zane.
Yeah.
So that's a player who has got 1.5 demon matchups, 1.5 matchups that he needs to avoid. That's what the other players have, right?
Yeah.
You look at all the other players, they have the same number of things, right? So I think that it feels like a real jump. I'm feeling weird saying maybe he could win, but if you kind of do the logic and parse it out, it makes sense.
Yeah.
He's got to prove it, but that's the only thing he's got because everything else is on his side. The stats and the logic all make sense. The only thing is, we haven't seen it yet. And then when we see it, then it all makes sense. And it really could be the set or the turn where we see it. We got a couple other players here, though.
Okay.
Who've got a very good chance at taking it. And I want to talk about the guy who we just mentioned, HBox.
Oh, Juan.
We can't get through an episode without talking about HBox.
No, we always have to have the HBox minute. The HBox
could be more than
10 minutes.
Fate. Tell me how you felt about HBox's chances of Fate.
I actually didn't. I didn't think that he would win the tournament, but I thought how do I put it? He was favored to make grands. He easily could have made grand finals at that tournament. Compared, I think, to a lot of the other tournaments he's been to this year, especially. I was looking forward to seeing him, JMook, at the tournament. I didn't expect JMook to win, but I think JMook's the kind of guy where when he took a step back, he had an illness, so he didn't come to LACS 5, and he's a prep guy. He prepares. And he's had a lot of time to work on the Puff matchup. Obviously, it's something that he's focused on because of, as we've mentioned, the fact that he's struggled in that regard. But I now feel so much shakier for HBox after that because of the way that the set went. It
wasn't a fluke.
No, it wasn't. JMook just played extremely well. HBox hit a bunch of rests, and he just lost neutral a ton. He just didn't look decisive at all. Usually it'll get down to that last stock and the Sheik just can't touch him, right? He's crouching. Yeah, he gets on the side platform. He just plays his little keep away game in the corner, and then he just strikes with up air, tech trap or something. He gets below the Sheik and it's just over. But JMook did not give him anything for free. So, I mean, I think HBox is still... He's going to be a top 8 guy forever. But
that might be what he's playing for at this point.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. Puff. Every time I start thinking or talking about Puff's relation to the tier list and stuff, I always think back to Leffen's tier list that he made where he put Puff incredibly high. He had it was the tier list where
Puff was number 1, wasn't she?
Yeah, well, the one I was referring specifically was ease of use versus all these individual metrics. He just overrated Puff so much, and I don't think anyone. I mean, I think there's still obviously people out there who think Puff are very good, but I don't think people are quite as disillusioned about how good Puff is anymore. And
his entire thing, I think, was tournament melee. I mean, right now he says Marth could be the number 1 character just because Marth beats Fox in tournament, and it's harder to play a certain level in tournament. He said the same thing about Fox versus Falco. He's like, Fox beats Falco theoretically, but I could see a world where Falco beats Fox just because in tournament everything's shaky. I mean,
people get less shaky by the day, though.
He's a true,
and people are more consistent. Controllers are now incredibly good. There's prisms. There's
obelisks.
Yeah. There's boxes. There's fobs. There's just so many things that allow players to play more consistently and precisely. I think Puff suffers a lot from that. And, Juan cares still. I think that he still wants to win, of course. I just can't. It's so hard for me to see him winning a major these days. Like, what's his path? Do you know what his path is?
At this one, he does have to play Moki.
He does?
If he beats Moki, he plays Zane.
Look at I do not favor him at all against either of those players at this point.
And if he beats both, then he's in winner's finals.
Like, yeah.
He's guaranteed top 3.
That's crazy. Like,
probably pays Cody.
Dude, yeah. Like, for him to beat 2 of the best boxes at the Puff matchup, and Zane, who's just like, is Zane like HBox's #1 demon, do you think?
It's really hard to say,
because HBox the thing is that HBox can still take a set off anyone.
Yes,
that's the thing. But for him to do it all in a row, it's just like it's so hard. It's asking so much.
It's so damning that you asked that. Zane, the guy who destroyed him, right? It's like, 3-0. Yeah, there's a game 5.
And I'm like, is that his demon?
And I go, we actually can't even say that because there's Cody.
Yeah,
like,
I know,
it's
right?
so
Exactly.
fucking,
It's so hard for him to. So I like don't even think about HBox in the realm of like winning a major these days.
Yeah, I mean,
it's crazy to think about it that way, but I really don't. What was he won? He won 1 major last year.
He won Riptide. He won GOML.
Oh, he won 2. I forgot about Riptide.
Yeah,
that's right. Okay,
Riptide was over Plup. I do think that people might kind of forget it, but it was still major. People were there. Like, I think Zane was there. I don't know if Cody was there, but J-Mook was. Like, these had good players.
HBox can win. He can still win majors depending on who's there, because he can still beat anybody.
Yeah,
and on any day he can go on a run. But at a tournament like this, I just don't see it. Because this is like approaching super major status. Like, I think you could almost call it a super major. But, dude, I mean, you just talked about his bracket path like that. I'm just thinking about, like, that's just unreal, like, for him to do that.
Well, here's the thing that the way I think about Juan and his path to success is, we talked about Zane. Zane is incredibly hard. He could beat Zane, but it's incredibly hard.
Yeah.
Cody's incredibly hard, and he could take a set.
Yeah, he
but
could.
It's so tough.
I can't see him taking 2 sets off Cody in one tournament.
That seems like such a tall order. Leffen has looked incredibly good ever since that one of the worst sets ever at Genesis. But he's looked incredibly good. Moki has looked very hot. Amsa maybe not right now, but Amsa has the ability to beat him, has beaten him a lot before. And then the thing about J-Mook is, J-Mook doesn't become a demon for HBox right now, but he becomes a win that HBox has to work for.
Even if that matchup shifts to 50-50, that changes so much.
Like, become even like 60-40 in HBox's favor, you go to something like that was your thing. That was your saving grace among a sea of all these other things.
Yeah, last year he just rode off of his. How many sets? They played so much. Right? Yeah, they played double-digit sets last year.
Crazy. And they didn't play until Wave Dash.
Yeah, that's wild.
Halfway through the year.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And yet, I've said all this information. I've said, here's why you should not believe HBox's chances to win. He can win. He just wins.
Yeah.
Like, so we had the Fate episode, and people were saying, I think HBox is a great bracket, and I say, actually, he's got like the best bracket
he did have
for him to win. He's not going to win.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't win the brackets that look great for HBox. When he comes out and wins his one major, he always gets one at least. It is a major where he beats Cody and beats Zan. It's just like, how the fuck did
it just like happens?
And you just like, yeah. It's like a weird version of, like, sometimes Leffen does that. Leffen had obviously LCS and Battle BC last year, but it feels so different.
Well, with Leffen, it feels like almost like he's structured his play and like the way that he, because he's got the Sheik now and everything. Yeah. He's just like a tournament player. Like, he just comes in and he's like, all right, let me just shore up my tech skill a little bit. Let me see who I'm playing against. Okay, I need to warm this up, But he just comes to win. I mean, but HBox is the same. Like, he's just a winner. Like, he just finds ways to get it done.
I'm not sure if HBox changes vastly tournament to tournament. Like, I would be, I think that you're right. Like, Leffen's got like way that he wants to approach things. And I think that, you throw out some outside factors like in his favor, and that could lead to him winning the tournament. When he wins, it looks like he's amazing, right? It looks like, it's like, how do you beat this guy whose Fox can beat everybody but the Marths, and whose Sheik beats all the Marths? Like,
his Sheik is so good against Marth. Like, it's specifically just designed to defeat Marth.
And then when you watch HBox win a tournament, it doesn't feel that way. It's just like, he's going to win this, isn't he? You get the feeling in the back of your head.
That is kind of how it goes. It's like, because we've just seen it so many times.
And it could be like Cody up 2-1 in the games and up. And first, like, something wrong happens.
Like Cody side B's off when he's like up a stock in like a bunch of percent.
I see.
And you're like, oh yeah,
the
path has opened up. Yeah, will Juan take it, or will he choose to lose?
So Fate, I watched Fate top 8. I actually took a nap during it because I don't know, I was like super tired for some reason. So I took a nap. I just fell asleep. I didn't like try to. I didn't plan a nap out. So but it's after winter semis. It's Dorian Triff versus Amsa. It's not an indictment on Yoshi versus Peach. Did not fall asleep because it was so boring, but probably was. I didn't have a long nap, but I had a dream. In the dream, I wake up from a nap. Very meta thing. So in this dream, I wake up from a nap, and I'm, Fate top 8 is just, I napped through Fate top 8 in this dream. And I go, fuck, HBox probably won. And then something in me, like, they must know. Because in the dream, I go to Twitter, and I see HBox, he tweets GG's, like, and I see other people tweet, like, oh, it's just not going to work out. And then they tweet, like, they reply and they go, oh, never mind. And like, I see all these tweets that just say HBox is going to win, and every single one that is replied by the original poster and just says, oh, never mind. And I go, wait a second, what does this mean?
Your subconscious.
My subconscious was trying to wake me up because they knew.
Yeah.
They knew. It knew. He knew. I don't know. She knew. Who knows?
Yeah.
I wake up and it is it's the end of loser semis. So like, I still have the tournament to watch. Yeah. And I was like, I've seen this before. I've been here. and yeah, HBox, he true to form. He didn't win the tournament. He got third. But yeah, I remember he beats Amsa, and it looks like he's beating Amsa very early on. That set did not.
No, it was a grindy set that looked foregone.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, that's a perfect way of putting it.
Yeah.
And at that point, talking about foregone, people are saying HBox in grands. And
J-Move. Yeah, that's right.
And then you think about it, you go, okay, well, who could do it? Zane? Zane has to go through J-Mook, who won. That could be tough. And then if he gets to there, he has to do something he's never done, which is win through losers. And really like the HBox tournament. And yet, the future generations will not know because they'll just see a third on this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, could GOML be the one? I do somehow, for some reason, feel more confident in his ability to win this than a tournament that he's supposed to win.
That's crazy to me.
Not in a way that I put odds on it or like,
but it's like there's something in it.
Cosmic.
It's just the way that things happen to work out with HBox.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's not the top thread here. We talked about all the other people. We've got some killers at this tournament. If you had to go through the top, so let's say, let's put them in some buckets. There's the top 3 in my mind, which are in any order: Cody, J-Mook, and Zane. I did alphabetical to show that I don't have any bias.
Well done.
Or maybe it'd be Schwab, Cody. I don't know. Those are the players that gain the most from this. They win the event. They are number 1, most likely. Like, unless something crazy happens, or obviously, sometimes when you look back at the data, you don't realize it looks one way. But without a shadow, within the shadow of doubt, I can say that whoever wins this of those 3 is number 1. And then we've got the people after them. We've got Amsa, we've got Moki, kind of players who have the ability to do what we talked about, just haven't done it this year. In the case of Moki, haven't done it ever. We got HBox. And then, do you want to talk about Mango?
Yeah, we could touch briefly. The thing is, it's so funny because a lot of focus is usually given to Mango ahead of time when he's going to a big tournament. Kind of talking about where he's at mentally, characters that he's going to be playing,
what he's doing on Twitch.
Yeah, exactly. What his streams have been like lately.
Yeah.
But Mango, I feel like, is almost to the point now where it's just a day of kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's just very good at the game. He's been playing. He's in practice. It's just whether or not he either is able to summon or find that intrinsic motivation to kind of like put himself down to the grindstone and really play the melee that he needs to when it comes to like some of the better foxes that he'll be playing against. When it comes to HBox.
Yeah.
When it comes to JMook, I think is a really big one for Mango because
who he is supposed to play here.
There you go. See, exactly. Because I mean, I don't think that JMook is like massively favored over Mango, but JMook becomes massively favored over Mango very quickly. If Mango starts to either fall apart or, loses his focus or, whatever reason that he's not all there. JMook is just so punishing on any little slip. And Mango's a W guy, especially against Sheik. He loves to attack Sheik. It is going to matter too what characters that he plays. I think that he still is going to be like kind of a default Falco into Fox for various things. It's just kind of we just don't know until day of. He's a daytime decision.
He probably doesn't know.
Exactly. That's the thing is and he'll talk too. He'll be like, yeah, I'm feeling great. Like I can't wait for the tournament. I want to win. But he's just talking because in the moment that's how he feels. But tournament time comes and he could be feeling completely different. It's not a knock against him at all. Like he's completely earned the right to have this like this day of like, am I going to play Doc Lee kind of bullshit mentality? Am I going to go Marth against S2J? Like, he's earned that right. His ranking will suffer for that kind of thing. And he might be a little upset about it end of the day.
I do wonder about that. I mean, I wonder because I'm affected.
Yeah,
personally.
Right. Yeah.
But
you have good reason to wonder.
Like you must understand at that point if you're Mango that.
Yeah. I feel like you have to.
I don't know. It really just seems like we're watching someone trying to figure out whether or not they still want to do this, and they're doing it live in front of like everyone, which is incredibly hard.
It is crazy.
I mean, if I don't really want to psychoanalyze Mango a ton because I don't personally know him. I mean, have I said go birds to him? Yeah, of course. As he told me that my seeding was bad. Yeah. Did he know that the seeding was done a week before Lost Tech City, which he won? No. We don't need to do that. But if I could psychoanalyze him a bit, it really seems like he wants to have the passion. And the passion just might not be there. Yeah. And it might be there intermittently, right? Because that's how sometimes, like, it's not like that. It's not just a switch flips. You don't suddenly love Melee and then go, no, I don't need to play this. Especially if you're Mango, who's done this forever, made a career off it. That is your living. And that is your identity. So we'll see. I mean, I fully support Mango in whatever he does. I think if he retires, that's fine. Because if you don't want to do it, don't do it. If he is back into it, he wants to play all the time, go for it. Melee is better when Mango plays. Yeah. But we're also fine without it, right?
Yeah, I think we've got... For a while, I don't think we were.
No.
It was
one of the first years in a while that I think we can actually live with.
Yeah. No, it's kind of true. He definitely it's hard to say that he like carried the scene because there's so many people contribute and like, without any piece of the puzzle, organizers, talent like me,
etc. like me.
Yeah. Jack of all trades, basically. Like you do everything.
That's true now.
Just the spectators. I mean, everybody contributes to the fact that Melee still exists to this day as a competitive entity. But
it's hard to say that he is not a large reason.
Yeah, he's a big slice of the pie for sure. Yeah.
So going to GOML, my expectations for him are not very high. I think he could end up DQ'd. I think he could end up 13th, losing, or like maybe like I guess 9th probably makes more sense, losing to JMook and then doing fuck all and losing before top 8. It's really hard to say, and his motivation will oscillate wildly, I think, this entire year, and it just seems like a frustrating place to be. So whatever he does, I hope it's whatever he wants to do, because I can tell, probably everyone else can tell just from watching that it is different than the other years. Yeah. And I won't get into how, just because that's how he feels and we don't know how he feels, but it is not the same very clearly. Yeah. It's okay. Yeah, I mean, we're happy with whatever he does. Yeah, and we hope if he figures it out. But yeah, I mean, we could talking about this and he just wins. Like that. That's
he easily could. He could easily just win. He's got J-Mook, and then what? Do you know who else?
Yeah, he would have Cody after that, I believe, right? Because that'd be
not the worst draw for him.
No.
He gets past J-Mook. He's beaten Cody a lot. Although Cody did look really strong against him at LACS.
I mean, Cody looks good against him. Zane looks good.
Cody just looks really good in general right now.
True.
Yeah. Cody has the best spread of matchups of anybody in the field.
I not only agree, I've said it on this podcast before.
Have you?
When you talk about who should win a major, Cody always feels like the right option.
He's the safe pick for sure.
Like he is a guy who, if his scariest matchup, right? We talked about matchups you want to avoid. His matchup he wants to avoid is probably Zane. Probably 50-50.
Yeah.
Maybe 60-40 in Zane's favor. I know Zane's been doing a little better.
But it's slight, It's like Cody can win easily any day.
If you're a Fox player and your worst matchup is a Marth, who you take half the sets from.
Best Marth in the world.
The best Marth in the world. And you can 3-0.
Yeah.
You're doing pretty well for yourself, right? You're doing pretty damn well.
Like, I am scared for Zane when he loses game one every time. Because then he's going to FD, and I'm like, dude, Cody just beats him on FD.
Yeah.
And, like, he loses a game on FD. It's like, it's so hard for him to come back at that point.
I love watching their sets now. And
they're great sets.
I was on record on this podcast saying that their winner semi set at Genesis 8 was one of the best sets ever. It's two people playing at the top of their game. What they're doing now that iterates on that is that they were doing all the correct stuff at the time, but they're doing so much outside of the game as well. Look at Battle BC. I tweeted it out. One of my rare tweets that wasn't being a reply guy to my friends. I tweeted out that Cody was down like 3 stocks to 1 off stage, down 2-1 in the set, and he won the tournament. And like Cody came up, right? Remember when Cody first came up and we're like, he's a really good player. His mentality's trash.
No.
That's
he's completely gone.
Clearly changed that.
He has an amazing competitive mentality now.
Yeah. And Zane, what was Zane's thing? Zane's a choker, right?
Yeah, it was like Zane is either beating you 4 stocks to 1, or he's missing every follow-up and you're up a stock in a little percent.
He can't win from losers.
Yeah.
And he gets, look at the Mango sets, right? Like when Mango wins over him, it is a guy who's getting crushed because he is losing everything. He's going up 2-0 and slipping, and ended up getting and losing.
Mango's always clawing it back and pulling.
And it's the pressure. Like the thing was that Zane's a choker, and now look what we have. Zane won a tournament from losers, and you can say what you want about the controller. I think it's still impressive and it still counts. But look at his set versus Cody at LACS. Remember that? It looked like game 5 Cody was winning, and
oh, dude, he reverse 4-stocked him.
Yeah,
Cody was up 2 stocks to 4, and Zane, I think Zane. I went back and I watched it, and I think Zane got like 6 neutral openings, and just 2 of them were complete 0 to deaths. Mm-hmm. One of them was off Cody's first stock. He just got the kill. Cody was already at high percent, but he literally just touched kill, and on a transforming stadium too. He
not the easiest thing.
I think he got grass transformation, so like it was one of the easier ones or one of the better ones for him. But like still, it was insane. His mentality was like pure steel in that game. It's unexpected.
Yeah. I mean, they are players who, if you watch a set of theirs as 2 of the best players in the world, even a year ago, if you saw Cody go up 4 stocks to 2, Cody probably wins. Same thing. Zane goes up 3 stocks to 1, Zane probably wins. And they've really worked on this aspect. I don't know if it's been passive or it's just been something they've really put a lot of time into, but you can tell. And that's what makes their sets great, is that not only every single game matters, but every single stock matters, because the swings can happen. You can be halfway through a game, completely different. The tone could totally change. But if you got to talk about mentality, there's one guy we haven't talked about, right? We talked about everyone who couldn't win this tournament. We didn't talk about the guy with the rock solid mentality who probably had his biggest battle yet, right? The biggest break to his mentality ever, had to be this last tournament, which is Jmu.
Yeah.
He's coming off of a tournament where he was sick for LACS. He went to Fate. He tweeted that he had 2 hours of sleep. He just couldn't sleep. And I remember going, Josh Man maybe beats him in losers. He looked amazing still.
Yeah. He looked really sharp.
And it really just came down to the controller issue. And he is a player who, with utter grace, right? He was like, I'm sorry to everyone. I'm sorry to say I'm sorry to everyone.
The most eloquent, he's like, dude, no one's mad at you, man. Yeah.
He's gonna be secretly racist or something. There's no way that someone this cool, and it's only gonna pop out because it's gonna be like some random thing. He's like hate Filipinos or something.
It'll be very specific.
But until then, we can talk about him with such reference. He had like probably the biggest roadblock in his path, which is all of these issues at the same time, and he wasn't able to win. Put almost anyone in that scenario, they aren't able to win. And he's coming off this. This is really soon after it. It's an international trip that he's coming from. So it's going to be tough, but I have such a hard time looking at anything that Jmu has done in 2023 and then, look at his bracket path and go, oh, he can't win that. There's so many people who can win this one. I guess let's narrow it down for who's going to win. I think it's going to be one of Zain, Cody, and Jmu.
Yeah, their odds are just so much higher than the field collectively as a threesome. It's just like I would pick them so many more times than the field.
Do you have a specific pick amongst them?
Yeah, I would pick Cody right now. I think
just because of the naturally the matchups.
Cody's a chip on his shoulder kind of guy, and he was genuinely very frustrated about losing LACS 5. I just feel like he is in a do or die position with Melee, where he kind of is not sure about his future with the game. He has reached such an incredible high, and he has to make that last push to try to get a sponsor.
Oh my god!
Right?
Yeah. Sorry, Cody. You had to see it. Well, he did. He knew it wasn't the case. See the Luminosity tweet? They're like big news for Smash later.
I did see that.
I think we all need to learn the go to the Ambi tweet that says when someone says Smash, they mean Ultimate. When someone says Smash Melee,
they do every time.
No, I think Cody's an amazing pick because you look at we said Zain. If Zain is his biggest weakness, that's great. Because also, not only is having a weakness that you go 50-50 with amazing, but Zain is a player who has a lot of weaknesses. Maybe he doesn't have anything that he outright loses, but he's got a lot of things that could be 50-50.
He doesn't have as many crushing matchups. Like where Cody, there's so many times where I just look and I'm like, this person just can't beat Cody.
Yeah. Zain has Amsa, which is not easy. Zain has the Sheiks, right? He's got Leffen and Jmu. Those aren't easy. HBox is never going to be 100% easy for him, even though it's looked insane.
He just has to be really sharp always as Marth against HBox.
Yeah, I think he's talked about, even when he was 3-0ing HBox, I guess he still kind of is. He talks about that was because of practice. He never would stop practicing that. And then, you might get into a situation where, if Cody is focusing on everyone, every top player will, but focuses more on Zain doesn't get to give that same focus to Cody. Because he has to give that focus. Yeah,
that's a good point. He has to spread it around his practice.
So that might be a good one. But I'm going to have to go, and maybe this is just the world talking to me again.
Are you going to pick HBox?
I would love to pick HBox. HBox, I've said, if it's a tough tournament, HBox has a better chance. But the way that the world also works out is in very mysterious ways. We have not had a ranking that has not been definitive number one, maybe ever. If you talk about all rankings, you might have to go back to Ask Tafo, maybe summer 2014 where PP was number one, but even then he was crushing everything up until that point. Basically every ranking we have, that I've been a part of in some way, which goes back years. The number one has been pretty obvious. As a balloter, it's always been pretty obvious. And as someone who's worked behind the scenes on the data, I don't know if there's been a year where the number one didn't get like everyone who called them number one. You have people like me who tied HBox and Armada. I feel justified about that. Look at Armada's 2017. Look at Armada's 2018. If Armada played the entire 2018, it would have been number one. And this is like the year with a ton of parity and the most parity at top level that we've seen in such a long time.
It's awesome.
It's I mean, literally comes down to one thing. And because of that, I think we are going to get an easy answer. It's going to be one of those things where right now, the Wednesday before GOML, it feels like it could be anyone. And the Monday after,
when we look back,
it's going to be like, oh yeah, obvious.
Yeah.
I think Zane's going to win.
You think Zane's going to win?
Zane is on a bit of a hot streak. He's been doing very well.
His mental looks really strong right now.
He looks very good.
Yeah.
And he's not really a player that has done a lot of, like, he doesn't chain all these tournaments together, right? He had Genesis into Pound and then didn't win for a while. I mean, if you look at his big wins last year, why he got ranked number one, it was the first two of the year.
Oh, he kicked off the year so strong last year.
And then it was Shine and then LSI in October.
Yeah.
So there's a big gap where he wasn't really winning the ones that actually mattered.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, I feel kind of confident. You know, he comes off of Fate. He comes off of second at LACS. He looks really good right now. And despite the fact that we've seen him get fucked up so much, it's so funny to like. He got like 3-0'd by Hamza, right? He looked like toast in certain matchups, and yet he looks so fucking good. I mean, I could literally give it to any one of these. I think J-Mook maybe just a hair under, just because he has matchups that I think are harder, and also just like being a Sheik, the nature of the game. Even if you're amazing versus Fox, a Fox is going to be harder for a Sheik than
just how it goes.
Yeah. So I'm going to go Zane. I'm going to pick Zane.
That's a good pick.
You pick Cody.
Yeah.
Edwin's here in the ether. He says, J-Man. I actually don't. He probably said what he says on his Monday Morning Marth article. I just didn't read it this week. Yeah, I literally think there's no wrong way to go between those three people. That's just where we're at with Melee.
Which is awesome.
It's a great thing.
And
this
such a great thing. This tournament in particular, you know, we touched on it earlier with the depth of talent. There's so many different regions that are representing here. That, you know, I'm not going to try at all to dig into what those round two matches might look like, but just take, you know, you at home, just take a look at some of those round two pools and see how early that some of these matchups happen. Like, it's going to be really difficult even to make top cut, to hit that top 32 winner side for some players. It's going to be a huge accomplishment.
I'm sure no one listening to this, no one who's a fan of Melee stats probably feels this way. But I know some people, like, they know the big ones and they go, like, oh, I'll watch the top 8 or whatever. I'll watch the top 32. You should be treating GOML like you would treat Big House or Genesis.
Yeah.
Because we're going to see intense matches before top 64. We're going to see all these insane things before top 32. Yeah, there's going to be so much here.
That's kind of the reason why I didn't end up watching a lot of Fate. Was I watched on the first day, I watched doubles.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kept tuning in throughout the tournament on following days. And it would be like, you know, silver bracket, whatever. Like they had
this one's double elimination. This one's easier to figure out.
Yeah.
I think SF got 65th place. I was like, 65th, but the next person under you got 79th. Like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, very weird. Yeah, but and you know, it was really cool for the attendees, I'm sure. But as a viewer, it was harder for me to be invested in, you know, and also a ton of, you know, very good European players who I just personally don't know. So it's more difficult to become invested in it. But this is, like, I like the way that you said that. You should treat it like a super major, because this is like ranking on a super major. It's right there. It's gonna be a really, really good, like, day two kind of like Melee.
We talked about it yesterday, about how Melee's in such a great place, because when Melee is at its biggest, top level is not as fun. Yeah. And people would always, that was when a lot of people said day two Melee is where it's at.
Yeah, because like everybody knew what was going to happen on day three.
And look, it's only been a few years. And I'm as excited for what happened in the grand finals as I am for this 28th seed in round 2 pools.
Yeah.
And that might not be a huge indictment, right? Like that might not sound great, but no, that just is actually like a good thing for grand finals.
I mean, considering where we were previously, it's such a huge difference.
Yeah.
To be excited for the entirety of the tournament is very cool.
Yeah, I'm so glad we're in that.
Dude, and like round 1 pools used to suck so much ass. We would get the worst matches for round 1 pools. It would be like brand new player versus Armada, like 6 times. Brand new player versus S2J. Brand new player, because there were a lot of new players at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And
the new players are cracked.
Yeah, like everybody's, even the base level just has good tech skill at this point. Even if they don't have like a game sense developed. Melee is just very high level at this point. We've got 22 years of development, so
true.
We better be good at it at this point.
Well, the big question I think that we get to with something like this: who's going to win? That's what it comes down to. That's the big question. But in terms of smaller questions, we got some questions for you from our patrons. So,
yeah,
we've got some.
Forgot that we did that.
The first question we have from you, and once again we did ask, and once again our patron channel got distracted by something. I think it was talking about what name we have.
Every time that you ask for questions from me, nobody asks me any questions. I've noticed
we're so distracted.
Did I actually get some questions this
you
time?
Had a few in the middle of talking about what our names would be if we were women, and then also I think there's something about I forget. There was something else that was. I think Kingu might have been talking. When Kingu talks.
Oh yeah. Everyone gets distracted.
Everyone listens, and it's not because they love him. Anyway, the first one's from Carly W. Margot. So she asks, what is your tier list of all the parts of a Chicago hot dog? Which I think starts with the question, what are all the parts of a Chicago hot dog?
Oh, a Chicago. First of all, I love a Chicago style dog. We were eating dogs at the Rogers Center yesterday. We went to the Blue Jays game.
I would kill for them if you're Chicago.
They didn't have the all the things that I wanted. They didn't have all the fixins. So a Chicago dog is it's like mustard relish, sport peppers, pickles, tomato.
You got to be more specific about the pickle.
Oh, it's a spear.
Pickle spear.
Yeah, it's pickle spear. And optionally, what I really like is I put chopped white onion on it too. I think it's pretty frequently people do that, but sometimes I see it without it. So what I think that.
Can I stop you here?
What?
Celery salt.
Oh yeah, celery salt.
You want? I understand forgetting that. What do you?
That is kind of like celery salt is kind of like the forgotten ingredient, I think.
And what type of bun is it?
Sesame.
Is it poppy?
Poppy seed.
Poppy seed.
Yeah, poppy.
Well, unfortunately,
I don't think the bun is part of the dog. The bun can be a hot dog bun is.
I think it has to be a poppy seed bun. I'm not telling you.
Hey, maybe you're right. I don't know.
I mean, I wouldn't want you to tell me.
Listen, my uncle owns 2 hot dog carts in the suburbs of Chicago, and he sells Chicago style dogs. And for a summer, I worked one of the carts, and I used to make Chicago style dogs. I used to put the celery salt on. I know that there's celery salt on there, and you're right. He did sell buns with poppy seeds on them, so maybe that is part of it. But I digress. The best. Let's see. It was a tier list.
Tier list.
S would be mustard.
Mustard, I think, has to make it.
Sport peppers and relish.
Okay.
No. Oh no. S would be mustard, sport peppers, and chopped white onion. A would be relish and pickle.
Okay. It makes sense they go together.
Yeah, it does.
2 little buddies.
Yeah. B would be, I guess, the bun and the dog don't count. They're just separate because that's like the template upon which you lay the toppings. B would be celery salt, and C would be tomato. I don't prefer ketchup over tomato. I still would just like have if the thing is if I don't have like sport peppers or like chopped white onion and stuff, then and I just have like mustard and relish, then maybe I'll put ketchup on it. But mustard and relish by itself is usually just enough.
You say this, you put ketchup on your dog yesterday.
I know. That's why I said sometimes I do it.
And it just happened with you the one time I saw it.
I had a dog yesterday. Well, I had one dog that had ketchup and mustard. And then I had a dog that had ketchup, mustard, and relish. And then I had a dog that had mustard and relish. So I had the mix of all of
it was dollar dog, loony dog.
It was loony dog. Yeah, we were eating dollar dogs.
We had to represent.
Yeah, at the Rogers Center.
I think your tier list is great. I agree.
You agree wholeheartedly? The tomato is definitely the worst one, I think. Yeah. Because the tomato it varies really wildly in quality. Yeah. If you get like a really good, like well sliced tomato, it's a really good addition, I will say.
It's cumbersome.
Yeah, well. They fall off too. It's hard to bite through with it. Sometimes the skin on the outside of the slice.
Like the pickle spear is cumbersome, but is worth it.
The pickle spear I always eat separate from it. Like it comes with it on it, but when I eat the dog, I'm not biting into the pickle spear and the hot dog. I take it off. I take a bite of the pickle spear, bite of the dog. Spear, not sphere. Dude, imagine a pickle sphere.
We can do it. We can make it happen. Fucking melon ball.
I'm in, dude.
Okay, so that is your Chicago heritage, and
yeah, let me just run back over it real quick. S would be mustard, sport pepper. A is wait, I forgot it now.
You also had chocolate onions.
Oh, that's right, chocolate. All right, forget about running it back then.
Remember?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
That's right. As soon as I said it, I knew that I started messing it up. All right, thank you for Bun and the dog or the template. They don't count.
What the brand? What's the normal brand of dogs you usually use?
I don't really eat hot dogs. When I would get Chicago style dogs, I would eat them at my job over that one summer. I ate a lot of them, or I would get them from Portillo's.
I feel like is it not Vienna beef? Is that something?
Vienna beef is more. I would get like a dipped beef sandwich there.
What about Sabrett?
I don't know what that is.
I think that's the the New York hot dogs. I think.
Oh.
Whatever. Regardless,
I would go to Gene and Jude's. Probably has the best Chicago style dogs that I've had in Chicago, but it's nowhere near where I live, so it was a pain to go there. But really, really good.
Yeah. Well, regardless, that shows your Chicago roots. But right now you're not in Chicago. You don't live in Chicago. You haven't lived in Chicago for a while.
Yeah.
So algebra 123230. Damien, you might know. Dame asks, what do you miss the most about being in the USA, and what do you like the most about Canada?
Oh, interesting.
We were talking a lot about. Well, I was talking a lot about how great America is. You were co-signing some of them.
Yeah,
America. So I think this is a really fun
good. It's a great country. There's a lot of really bad things about it, but it's still a good. There's a lot of things I like about it. What do I miss about America? What do I miss about America? I miss. Honestly, one of the things I miss the most is the Chicago Smash scene.
Oh wow!
Specifically, the Chicago scene. I'm sure it's changed a lot since I lived there too. You know, I still watch Midlane, not every week, but I catch it here and there. You know, if I've got time in the evening, I'm just chilling. I'll throw on a little Midlane there. Go cut back and forth between the nightclub and Midlane usually.
And waiting for game.
And here we are, of course. And but I think that the Chicago scene at large has always done a really good job of kind of connecting over local tournaments and engaging the scene. When I first got into it, it was segmented, but it built up over time. Melee Every Day really kind of brought it together in a lot of ways. Before Melee Every Day, there was Windy City Smash, which was the original streaming organization that I was not an original founder of it, but I was like a very short torch carrier for a bit, where I ran the stream and I went to a bunch of tournaments and kind of
the William Henry Harrison.
I don't know. I don't get that reference.
You're Canadian now. He's a U.S. president.
Oh, Harrison.
Yeah. Didn't live very long.
I don't know the full name. Sorry.
Well, there's two Harrisons. Benjamin William Henry. William Henry was
exposing my presidential knowledge gaps
after like 30 days or something.
Oh, okay. I have heard that.
So very short period, but you were there.
Yeah, I wasn't 30 days short. It was more like a year.
Okay.
But but like Unsure took the torch, and now Belt and the whole new crew who basically run and stream mid lane Matt Pleppa. Yeah, I would love to get to know the new Chicago scene better. Cadence is an amazing person who has done a ton for like newer players in the scene. Just I feel like the Chicago scene it's got everything. It's a great scene, and I kind of miss in the Toronto scene. I'm disconnected from it because I don't live remotely near any of the locals here. They're all over on the East End, and I'm not really. I wouldn't connect to a scene through locals as much anymore these days. Anyway,
Yeah.
like I feel like it would more be like an online kind of presence. And I know like a lot of Toronto Smashers, but a lot of the Toronto Smashers that I know aren't as active as they were before, too. You know, the scene. You should move him. He's gonna step all over your laptop.
Come on.
One thing I really like about Canada is loonies and toonies, $1 and $2 coins, and the fact that they got rid of pennies.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But living in Canada, I feel so not different here than living in the States. Like it's so similar. People will talk about how different it is or whatever. And maybe it's just because I come from the Midwest. Like I feel like Midwestern kind of like laid back vibes is very similar to how a lot of Canadians are. I really like in particular where I live too. Like we live near the lake here, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Triangulating.
Yeah. I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about Canada versus the United States in my experiences living here versus there. So I don't really have a great answer for this one off the top of my head, but I did the best I could with what I could think of.
Yeah, we get on their case for coming up with bad questions, and they come up with good questions, and we can't answer them.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was never meant to be. Well, you talk, kind of about the area that you guys are in, and our next segment, I actually want to talk about because touching grass.
Yeah, I love touching grass. What a great segment.
Yeah, it is the officially unnamed segment, but it's a segment where we talk about something that's been going on in our lives that's not Smash related. I guess maybe I will. Maybe it's technically Smash related, but I want to talk about just being here in Toronto, right? I've not been to Toronto before. I've been to Canada once before. I went to Montreal just recently, and I've been really enjoying myself. I know it's just been a little bit, but yesterday we got to go to a Blue Jays game.
That was awesome.
Pretty damn good seats.
Yeah, we did.
It was loony dog night, so we were eating dogs. They got crushed, but it was still a fun time overall.
I don't even know what the end score ended up being, but it was bad.
It was 6-1 when we left.
Yeah.
Dude, what if they came back?
That would have been crazy.
I heard yesterday, I think it was the Nationals were up 3-1 and then lost 17-3. And like they're up like
baseball is such a
late.
funny sport, dude.
It's so fun. But I had a great time at the game, and today I got to take a walk to the lake with Spoopy. Had a great time with them. Just it's just it's a nice little like time that I get to spend here, and then I get the tournament. Right? It's like so fun to me already that this would be everything before I would normally come in. So it's all just bonus. The lake was beautiful. I didn't tell you this. I told the patron channel this, and I want to tell all the viewers. It's all women bathing topless. That was crazy.
Wow.
So I love Toronto.
Sunbathing or bathing?
Sunbathing.
Oh, okay.
I think generally people bathe without clothing. Sorry, sunbathing.
Well, that's why I was.
So I love this city. It's the best city. The one thing I'll take away. No, like where we are is very cute, and I can't wait to get closer to downtown.
You kind of. So we live on the West End, and
just give it the address, man. You're so close.
The West End is pretty. There's a lot of range over here. We I think that the West End is quieter than a lot of central. I mean, obviously than central, but even the East End I think is much busier. But it's very accessible still to be able. Like we just took a streetcar. What was it, like 20 minutes to get to the stadium?
Yeah, it wasn't bad at all.
Brief walk afterwards. Like it's so accessible to get around here. Something that Toronto does share with Chicago, I think. And I'm comparing this to other North American cities, not European cities.
Chicago has very easy public transit.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, technically was that Smash related? I'm here for Smash. Maybe it was, but hanging with friends from Smash, so maybe it can. But I will use that as mine. What have you been up to? Just in general, what have you been up to recently? Anything you got going on coming up?
Well, this weekend I won't be here for GOML.
What?
I know. I will be in Michigan.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah.
For the big house?
No, I won't even be driving through Detroit. I am going to the west side of Michigan to play disc golf. I'm meeting a bunch of my old friends from Chicago. They're all driving up together to play an extended weekend's worth of disc golf courses. This is our annual trip. We've been doing this now for 5 years. I want to say 5 or 6 years. The first year we did it, we went to Michigan, and so this is now our first year coming back.
Oh, nice!
So we're playing a couple of the courses that we played back then again.
But you're better.
Yeah. The one course in particular called Flip City, I'm really looking forward to playing.
Flip City.
Wait.
It's called Flip City.
Yeah, that's the name of the course. So it's a dope course name. It's a great course, too. It's a beautiful course. We're playing some other. There's a private course called Arvesta Farms. We're playing that is like a bomber course, that's going to be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Probably lose a couple discs on some water carry throws there. But that's kind of what I've been up to over the last couple months, too. I went to LACS. But aside from that, I've been playing a little bit of Melee, just unranked, basically, and watching tournaments here and there. But I've been really focused on work and playing disc and spending time with Spoopy, with AJ.
Yeah.
So it sucks that our annual trip kind of overlaps with GOML. We all kind of coordinate, right?
Yeah.
To try to figure out when we can make it happen because everyone's so busy with our lives at this point. But it got down to the point where we had 2 weekends to pick from, and it was okay, either I have to make it hard on my friends and still go to GOML, or miss GOML and everybody can then come to the disc golf trip. So I was I just had to make the call, which sucks, but I was glad to be able to go to LACS. Kind of got me back into the Melee mood a little bit. I played a ton of Melee while I was there. Unfortunately, somehow lost my controller. On Sunday while I was there, they gave away controller cases at the venue. They're the Ludwig Agren Championship Series 5 branded controller cases. I put my controller in a case, and I thought I put it in my bag, but I must not have, or something happened to it. Somehow it just vanished. And the off-brand staff could not find it anywhere. Very sad. So I have to basically construct myself a new OEM from spare OEM parts, which I have a lot of. So it's just a matter of right now I'm playing on this thing.
Show us the big house.
This is you can't really see the gate, but AJ tried to file this gate on this controller to learn more about controller modding when they were writing their book. I almost call it.
Don't say the book of Melee. Do not call it the book of Melee.
No. When they got a bunch of alternate controllers. They got.
What's the book? People might be interested.
I've actually forgotten the name of it. Melee is broken. That's what it was. I've been stalling to try to remember it this whole time. Melee is broken.
Very good book.
Yeah, it is. This controller is pretty bad, but it's the best of what I have right now. So, if you beat me on unranked in the last couple of days, it doesn't count because I've been playing on this thing.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah,
doesn't count. Officially decreed.
Yeah.
No, that is very cool. It's a shame that people won't be able to see you, but there's going to be enough going on.
Yeah, I am ashamed to be missing GOML. There's going to be so many people who I wish that I could see who are coming. When I get back, I will be still seeing Edwin, which is nice.
Just so.
Yeah. But yeah,
it just means you got to come.
You and Edwin are the only people I'm going to be seeing from who are coming to GOML.
Which means you got to come to America again.
And I will. I'm coming for at least one more tournament this year. Won't say which, but
well, I hope to find out which one soon. It's been an amazing episode. I've had a very good time. Very good week. It's only been a few days. I had a very good couple days.
Well, you've had a great week so far.
Had a great week so far. Hope you continue it. And I hope you guys had a great episode watching this. I know this has been a little bit of a weirder one because
there's
no Edwin
sitting in my office here.
Yeah, cat. There's a cat.
Yeah,
but I think it was a super fun episode. And what is going to be super fun is next week when we actually have answers to all these questions, right? We talk about who's going to win this, who's going to be number one. I think next week we are going to be way more enlightened on this. And we're going to take a break after that just before SmashCon to make the rankings.
Yeah.
Like make the thing that this content is about. But we'll be back after that. So yeah, we have an episode next week to talk about everything that happened, recap everything GOML related, talk about the rankings, and then we'll be back right before SmashCon. We're in the thick of it. Yeah. We are in the thick of it.
Summer of Smash. You remember that? Summer of Smash.
Just feels like the Summer of Smash.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for watching. We'll be back next week. And go watch GOML. We'll see you guys later. Peace.